The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom is the head of government in the United Kingdom. The Prime Minister chairs the cabinet and selects its ministers, and advises the sovereign on the exercise of much of the royal prerogative. As modern prime ministers hold office by virtue of their ability to command the confidence of the House of Commons, they typically sit as a member of parliament and lead the largest party or a coalition in the House of Commons. The office of Prime Minister is not established by any statute or constitutional document but exists only by long-established convention, whereby the reigning monarch appoints as Prime Minister the person most likely to command the confidence of the House of Commons. This individual is typically the leader of the political party or coalition of parties that holds the largest number of seats in that chamber. The Prime Minister is ex officio also First Lord of the Treasury, Minister for the Civil Service and the Minister responsible for national security. P.22 Indeed, certain privileges, such as residency of 10 Downing Street, are accorded to Prime Ministers by virtue of their position as First Lord of the Treasury. In 2019, the office of Minister for the Union was established with Boris Johnson becoming the first Prime Minister to hold this title. The position of Prime Minister was not created. It evolved slowly and organically over 300 years due to numerous acts of Parliament, political developments, and accidents of history. The office is therefore best understood from a historical perspective. The origins of the position are found in constitutional changes that occurred during the revolutionary settlement and the resulting shift of political power from the sovereign to Parliament. Although the sovereign was not stripped of the ancient prerogative powers and legally remained the head of government, politically it gradually became necessary for him or her to govern through a prime minister who could command a majority in parliament. By the 1830s, the Westminster system of government had emerged. The prime minister had become primus inter pares or the first among equals in the cabinet and the head of government in the United Kingdom. The political position of Prime Minister was enhanced by the development of modern political parties, the introduction of mass communication and photography. By the start of the 20th century, the modern premiership had emerged. The office had become the preeminent position in the constitutional hierarchy vis-a-vis the sovereign, parliament and cabinet. Prior to 1902, the Prime Minister sometimes came from the House of Lords, provided that his government could form a majority in the Commons. However, as the power of the aristocracy waned during the 19th century, the convention developed that the Prime Minister should always sit as a member of Parliament in the lower house, making them answerable only to the Commons in Parliament. As leader of the House of Commons, the Prime Minister's authority was further enhanced by the Parliament Act 1911, which marginalized the influence of the House of Lords in the law-making process. The Prime Minister is the head of the United Kingdom government. As such, the modern Prime Minister leads the cabinet, all other cabinet members and ministers, and coordinates the policies and activities of all government departments, and the staff of the civil service. The Prime Minister also acts as the public face and voice of Her Majesty's government, both at home and abroad, solely upon the advice of the Prime Minister. The sovereign exercises many statutory and prerogative powers, including high judicial, political, official and Church of England ecclesiastical appointments, the conferral of peerages and some knighthoods, decorations and other important honours. Elizabeth II Charles, Prince of Wales Elizabeth II Boris Johnson Dominic Raab Elizabeth II the Lord McFall of Alcluith, Sir Lindsay Hoyle Sir Keir Starmer Supreme Court the Lord Reid the Lord Hodge. The British system of government is based on an uncodified constitution, meaning that it is not set out in any single document. The British Constitution consists of many documents and most importantly for the evolution of the office of the Prime Minister, it is based on customs known as constitutional conventions that became accepted practice. In 1928, Prime Minister H. Asquith described this characteristic of the British Constitution in his memoirs. In this country we live under an unwritten constitution. It is true that we have on the statute book great instruments like Magna Carta, the Petition of Right, and the Bill of Rights, which define and secure many of our rights and privileges. But the great bulk of our constitutional liberties and our constitutional practices do not derive their validity and sanction from any bill which has received the formal assent of the King, Lords and Commons. They rest on usage, custom, convention,